I believe it was around 2014, they upgraded all of their sensors and all of their capabilities on their jets and immediately started seeing these things. They started seeing these things, and they think these things had always been there. They just didn't have the ability to recognize them.
That makes sense.
And he said they're moving in a way that cannot be explained by anything that we know currently.
I think it's improbable that we're out here by ourselves.
I think we'd be watched just like, have you seen Chimp Nation?
No, I saw you post about it the other day.
Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. But these, they're watching these chimps. They're watching them create chaos. They're watching them fight over food. They're watching them, control territory. It's what we do. We watch intelligent species because a chimp is an intelligent species compared to most animals. They do things that are far more interesting. They act in packs. They have social hierarchy systems. They communicate with each other. They have a very complex social structure, just like us. Just like us. We're just a more advanced version of that. And if they're a more advanced version of us, I would imagine they would watch us the way we watch those chimps. They don't interfere. They make their presence known. They're always there, but they don't do anything. So they allow these chimps to behave just like chimps. And if I was an alien and I wanted to study human beings, I would do that. I would just make my presence known occasionally, watch from afar, and as their ability to understand what's out there increases, humans, then they're going to become more aware of these things that have always been there. And then they'll have to start talking about it. And if they really have recovered something, like there's a Moment of Contact documentary about Varginha, Brazil in 1996, and the whole town experienced these UFO sightings and this crash. There was like a crazy thunder lightning storm, and one of them crashed, and they recovered bodies. And one of the soldiers that carried these bodies, he died of this horrific bacterial infection that they could not fix. They didn't know what it was. He was a young, healthy guy. And right after he contacted this thing, he carried this thing. They put it in the back of a car and drove it to several different hospitals. They did an autopsy on this thing. There's doctors that were there. Everyone's terrified to talk about. The Air Force flew in, and they flew in to Varginha and recovered whatever the fuck it was and took it with them. So the United States Air Force did. So what was that about? Is that real? Do they really have these things? Do they have multiple ones? This is Bob Lazar was saying this in the 1980s. He was saying that they hired him to back engineer something that they had recovered. And he also said that one of the things that they recovered was from an archaeological dig. And they said it was really old. And they think that they said that to Bob Lazar, and this is also something that Grush had said, that he had been told that one of those things had been recovered from an archaeological dig.
Well, thanks for making it impossible for me to sleep for a few days.
I think it's real.
Fuck.
I think it's real.
I think it's improbable that we're alone.
Yeah. It's very unlikely. And I think it's improbable that if we are not alone, that no one would be interested in us. I think we're fucking fascinating. We're the weirdest thing that exists in our known universe. We're so weird. We engage in deception and fraud, and some of it's legal and some of it's not, and murder and war and chaos and theft, and our economy is built on a fucking shell game. I think they'd be fascinated. Be like, look at what happens when these fucking weirdos have power and influence, but then as the age of information starts to emerge and technology starts to reach this point where you can't hide things anymore like you used to be able to. You can't just silence people like you used to be able to. Then all this stuff like this guy, people start coming forward and they start saying, hey, this is crazy. This is illegal. This is anti-American. You're supposed to be telling people what the fuck is going on here. And he's saying that they're in cahoots with these big military contractors. They're in cahoots with like these companies that build technology for the military, and that they're all trying to work on this stuff, and that there's a race going on between us and the other superpowers, that we're not the only ones that have recovered these things. Which is fucking crazy. Because that means they're hiding this from presidents, they're hiding it from Congress, they're hiding it from, so who makes that call? Like, if there really was, if Bob Lazar is telling the truth, and if this gentleman is telling the truth, you should see him talk about it too. This David Grush fella, when he gets interviewed, see if you can find the interview. He was pretty the one short.
Who they were referencing in that article.
Yes, that guy. And he's the guy he's ended his career to come out and talk about this stuff because he's like this is nuts. Like, this is, and if you're a real patriot, that's probably the thing you should do. And apparently, According to Sagar, he was talking about breaking points. The New York Times rejected this. The Washington Post rejected this. They didn't want to talk about it. This is the gentleman. So let's play this.
What do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
That's
all
it.
I've had.
Where's the whole interview?
Probably that website.
See if you can find. Is that something you have to sign up for? What is it? What is it?
News Nation.
News Nation. Meanwhile, that might be a 100% government-controlled organization that just promotes propaganda. That guy's working for them. You got to think about all these things.
I know.
News Nation. Who are these
Where
folks?
Chris Cuomo ended up.
Oh,
I don't know what
interesting.
channel it is.
He's their fucking centerpiece. Look at that.
Yes, he is.
He looks a little tanner than usual.
Can we save ourselves from ourselves, Joe? To go back to the humanity sliding towards the brink?
It's possible.
Oh, here's the 10-minute interview.
Okay, let's hear this
What
guy.
do you want? How much?
Just play it. Let's just see what it's up.
Military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact, exclusive
On the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current and former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me they were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges the U.S. government.
Does it keep going? What else does it say?
The entire American public has been lied to for decades.
Yeah, there's a sophisticated disinformation campaign targeting the U.S. populace, which is extremely unethical and immoral.